What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NFL Rundown. Titletown has completed his move. He's live from Texas and ready to join us. And of course, Tyler will be here. Tyler's having an excellent NFL season, so I always love talking NFL with Tyler. But Tyler, hey, haven't seen you for a week. Why don't you jump in and let us know how the move went and how you're settling in and what you thought of NFL Week 7?
Yeah, the move, for those that don't know, I moved from Wisconsin to Texas. Last Monday, I took
Kept
off.
the accent, though.
Yeah,
We can hear it when you say Wisconsin.
all right. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, moved from Wisconsin to Texas, 18-hour drive, which wasn't fun for sure, but my mom came with me, which helped. She spent until Saturday morning, so we were able to see a lot of Texas, eat a lot of good food, and just explore Austin. That's where I moved to Austin. I'm loving it so far. I love the weather for sure. My buddies are messaging me saying it's 40 degrees back home, while it's 85 here. So definitely not complaining about that. No state income tax. So it was a good move. But now I'm settling in. Saturday was MMA. Sunday, obviously, with NFL. So today's the day I can settle in a little bit. But yeah, week 7 was a good NFL slate, I thought. There was more. I mean, the 1 p.m. games, 12 p.m. games weren't very fun, the blowouts, but the afternoon games I enjoyed watching. Sunday night was just, it was Sunday night. But RPS, if you're not a member, Big T's core absolutely smashed. A bunch of members shot first place. So it was a good day. And then NBA, I know you guys are going to do a show later. You guys love the NBA. It's back in action. So NBA and NFL is my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we've been having so much fun, and of course, I've been doing double duty. We'll be turning the sides and props totals over to JJ and Joey Work starting in November, which will be a little nice, and I can focus on NBA a little more. But as far as the NFL show, being able to basically just be a host, have some fun, start some conversations, and of course, I watch all the games. I do bet it myself, so I can throw my opinion in there as well. But I definitely defer to Tyler when it comes to his NFL expertise. Speaking of that expertise, Tyler. How was your Sunday yesterday, and how those props treat you?
I think it was pretty good. We went 4-3 plus 2.82 units, and that brings it to 5-4 on the week plus 3.3 units. So good week. We're gonna finish it off strong on Monday night. But other than that, I thought the games were pretty boring. The blowouts,
weren't they?
Yeah, the Cardinals kind of toyed with the Texans for a little bit before they put it on them, and then Detroit tried everything they could before the Rams just overpowered them.
So maybe I thought it was more fun because I had Cooper Kupp and Godwin in the late slates that really brought me home. But other than that,
yeah, you were just loving everything when they were throwing them guys the ball.
But other than that, thinking about it more, 4 p.m. games probably weren't much better than the 1 p.m. games either.
Yeah, obviously, my NFL DFS I feel much stronger on. My NBA DFS I feel much stronger on. But I love the lineup when I put it in yesterday, the one that I had made, and of course I used the cores from you gentlemen. Your boy Mahomes was the one that got me. I'm like, how is he the one that didn't come through? Because the rest of the team looked really good.
Your boy almost shipped for me, spread. I was creeping heavy. I was all over the Oakland game.
Yeah.
Derek Carr captain. I was creeping. I had Swift, Cup. I took 8th, I think. First place was 30,000. I was creeping with Carr. Just need that game a little closer. But 2% Derek Carr spread. That's your boy. He almost got it done for me.
It's crazy, 2%. I don't know where exactly it is, but I know at one point he was leading the league in yards, and he's probably pretty close. So, so we had a lot of fun yesterday, and let's talk about some of the things we saw. Now it's time for, our first take approved, hot take questions that we'll get to, and then we will, of course, break down tonight's game, sides, totals, props, and then Title is going to help us build a core that will hopefully be able to cash in this Monday night showdown tonight. We had a lot of rain in Sacramento. There's going to be a lot of rain up in Seattle tonight. So it should be, if you had fun watching last night's game, it should be a lot of the same tonight. The first game that I wanted to talk about was, it's probably the best game of the morning, maybe, just from a viewer's perspective, if you weren't involved in the gambling. Falcons improved to 3-3. They beat the Dolphins, who went to 1-6. So it was a great win for Atlanta. Really tough turn of events for Miami, as I think that game kind of let their season slip away. Of course, they could run off 9 in a row, but let's be realistic, going to be tough. I thought Tua played pretty well in the loss. But I didn't have eyes on it total because I didn't bet this game. 291 for 4 touchdowns yesterday. Seems like a hey, don't trade for Deshaun yet type of performance. But we'll start talking about the Falcons since they were the winners and they improved to 3-3. I'll start with you, Title. Atlanta's looking a little better. They started really bad. They're now 3-3. Do you think this team can make the playoffs?
No, I'm still not a Matt Ryan guy. I don't think their defense is good enough. I love Pitts. Cordell Patterson, what a year he's having. He's really brought himself in the conversation. He's going to get paid. He looks explosive. I love Ridley and stuff, but the defense with Matt Ryan, who I'm not a believer in, I don't think they can make the playoffs.
What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm on the same page as Title. I don't think they can make the playoffs. I think that at best, maybe they finish like 8-9, somewhere in there. Yeah. But I mean, Arthur Smith will have his team ready for next year. They got some cap room. They'll have a pretty nice draft pick. They'll probably pick somebody up nice. So,
do you think they bring Matt Ryan back, Tyler?
Maybe. I think they might bring him back, depending on if they draft a quarterback in the first round. This isn't like a big
next year's quarterbacks
class.
Really aren't that good. They're not that good.
You got the guy coming out of Liberty, Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Now everyone's talking about the kid, Kenny Pickett, but we'll see with that quarterback class. I don't think it's that good.
And our team's going to be stage fright after what they've seen this year.
I mean, everyone loved this draft class, and it looks like Mac Jones is going to be the only one that's like succeeding.
But okay, let me jump in on this.
Lance will get there.
Let me jump on this. Before 4 years ago, it was so rare for a rookie to start as a quarterback. It was so rare, right? The level of defense. Not the athleticism as much now that you look at the SEC, but to read these complex defenses against these athletes is so hard. And I think a lot of these guys, they're doing a disservice. The Jets not bringing in a veteran to help out Zach Wilson. I mean, I think that's bad front office, bad management. They should have at least made him earn the job, right? Trevor Lawrence, I think that he was ready to start. He would be one that I'd argue, hey, you break the rule for this guy because he was that good. But the rest of these guys, like Trey Lance, shouldn't even be sniffing the field. And he's going to have to, especially after the performance Jimmy G had last night. Same with Justin Fields. I can't remember where I read it, but it's probably like Warren Sharps. And no coaching staff has done their quarterback a disservice more than the way that Nagy and his coaching staff dealt with Justin Fields, not giving him the vote. If they're going to play him, give him the vote of confidence right off the bat. They did not do that, right? Then they bring him in week 3. He hasn't had the first team reps, and the play calling's atrocious. The offensive line's atrocious. So that was just what I had to say on that. And let's continue to talk about quarterbacks. And sorry, I didn't mean to go too long. You guys are the real stars here. But the Dolphins, right? Do you think they're going to move on from Tua at QB? I thought he made a pretty impressive case that, he deserves more time to develop. To be fair, though, I'm going off the stats. Like I said, I didn't have money on that game. I had money on a lot of different games, so I did not pay attention to that one. Title. We'll start with you. What did you think of Tua's performance yesterday? Obviously pretty good in DFS, but do you think it's enough to stave off a new quarterback coming in?
Yeah, I don't think it's enough personally. I think it's still Watson. I mean, he was literally in the nut spot at home, good weather against this bad Falcons team. They had to put up points. Devontae Parker has been hurt with some of his weapons, but I just am not a believer in Tua. I think the Dolphins aren't a believer in Tua. I think they realize that they can't go where they want to go with him. And Deshaun Watson's sitting right there, and they seem to have interest. So I think it's going to be Deshaun Watson, we'll get to Sam Darnold and the Panthers, unless they scoop him first. But I think Miami's going to get Deshaun personally, but I don't think Tua's the answer.
All right, and Tyler, I think I already know the answer for you, but we will let you officially proclaim it. What were your thoughts of Tua's performance yesterday, and do you think that Miami will give him another year?
I think it was a good performance, but, if you're going to give me Deshaun Watson, of course I'm going to take Deshaun over Tua. But I think if Miami gets Watson, they have to do it before the deadline. They're not going to be able to do it in the offseason because by that time, Philly's also going to be involved in this. They have 2 first-round picks. They're probably going to have 2 top.
They have 3.
Yeah, they do have a third. You're right.
They have the Colts, and they have one other team.
They have Miami's.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it be something for Miami to watch their pick get traded for Deshaun, the quarterback they wanted?
I don't think that's that far-fetched.
Yep. I think Philly's going to swoop in and take them in the offseason.
All right. Well, I'm pretty impressed that we were able to talk that long about that game. Although, to be fair, like I said, it was the most exciting one. Probably not a lot that we'll be talking about these teams once the playoffs start, though. 2 teams that we probably won't be talking about during the playoffs either are the Panthers and the Giants. The Panthers get out to a 3-0 lead, then get outscored by 25 points. They lose the game 25-3. Sam Darnold once again looked horrible. The interceptions reared their ugly heads again. Without Christian McCaffrey, he has not looked good at all this season. So, that's my first start question with them. Like, how do the Panthers react to this loss as an organization, and what do you think this means for Sam Darnold? He was benched yesterday for PJ Walker. Now I'm assuming that he'll be the starter this week. I was pretty excited to see my XFL guy PJ Walker in there. But how do you think the Panthers react, Titletown?
Yeah, I mean, man, I was a Sam Darnold guy. I mean, I think he had the talents, and man, that was one of the most brutal performance. They were beat in every phase of the game. I think he's going to keep starting. PJ Walker, he came in, he was 3 for 14 for 33 yards. Like, he's not the answer. Like, they're going to go back to Sam Darnold. They need McCaffrey back at the end of the McCaffrey makes this team go. They're going to roll with them. I'm not going to be betting the Panthers, that's for sure. Robbie Anderson keeps getting all the targets in the world and is absolutely nothing to show for it. DJ Moore is pretty much the only guy right now, but this team's in trouble, I think, without McCaffrey.
Yeah, well, he should come back pretty soon, and be interesting to see if Darnold looks really good again, because I felt that was one of the keys to his success. The incentive to actually take the check down, Sam, and not force it into double coverage. And sometimes it was double coverage, but they were covering his own. And I'm like, where's the receiver, Sam? I mean, and you know, I have a buddy who always tells me this too. He says the guys that throw interceptions in college, it usually, you know, they usually don't fix it in the pros. And he kept telling me about Sam, and I was a little stubborn, and it turns out that he was right. So, Will, if you're watching, a great call there. Tyler, what do you think about the Panthers?
Well, I agree with your buddy Will. I mean, we watched Sammy D throw all them picks at USC. We knew it was coming for the Jets, and now it's here at the Panthers. We got that play home on our Friday shows, Fred, that minus 120 for him to throw a pick.
I mean, I told you that. I said if you only have 1 unit left in your account, that's it. Right? If you're relying on betting to pay your mortgage and you're not there yet, that's the bet. So thank you for that, Tyler. It made my morning a little more enjoyable. It's a cash is so early too. I mean, just a stress-free bet. So I don't even really want to talk about the Giants. Tyler, do you have anything to say about the Giants? I mean, they are what we think they are, right? They're a middling football team. They lack talent on the defensive end. I don't really think they're that well coached. Tyler, anything on the Giants?
No, I really got nothing. I mean, tank the season out, get a high draft pick, get another star in there, build on that, and then just hope for the best.
Just please put up points for my best ball teams.
Yeah, do that for title.
All right. Hey, and we'll see how that goes. So I was reviewing my NFL season this morning, Tyler, and I'm down like a couple units, right? If you took out all the bets on the against the Cincinnati Bengals, I'd be up like 3 units. So my whole NFL season sucks because I doubted this team. I have told myself I'm not betting against them until like week 14 at most. I have a moratorium. I'm betting against the Cincinnati Bengals. I do not care the situation. I have underestimated them too much. Jamar Chase, my apologies. I'm still mad at you for tricking us on that ball thing. But, boy, what a great win. Not the fact that they beat the Ravens, but, I mean, they stomped them. They spanked them in Baltimore, right? I mean, what a statement game. I'm done doubting this Bengals team. Title, why don't you go ahead and give them their praises because they deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, this is one team I have gotten right. I've been all over the Bengals. I mean, I just love their talent. They got Jamar Chase, who I've always been high on, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, which, I mean, those are one of the best trios in football, with Joe Mixon, who's an absolute stud. I hope they get him involved more. There's no way P. Ryan should be having 11 carries. Mixon should have 12 carries. So once they realized that Mixon can run the ball 20-plus times, it really all came down to Burrow. And there was concerns in training camp. They mentioned his reads weren't there. He wasn't 100% confident with the knee and stuff. But, man, did he look good too. And it's easy to look good when you got playmakers like that. Defense has been looking really good. They already have as many sacks as they have last year or something like that. This is a good football team. They just have so much talent, and they're young, athletic, decently coached. So I like the Cincinnati Bengals team.
Yeah, and so just to, you know, because we're always looking at what we did wrong. And it sucks because on these shows, right, we spend a lot of time on the wrongs and just go, hey, you know, we got this game right and just move right on. But it's because it's what we expected. When we're wrong, that's when we really start to dig into it. And so, Title, I thought that you were making kind of like a DFS style mistake in the Bengals because their skill positions are so good. But I said their O-line's not good and their defense isn't good. I contend the O-line still isn't good. Credit to Joe Burrow for getting things done because he's got a guy in his face on every play. But the defense is where I was wrong, you know, and I thought they were going to be kind of like the Raiders were, where, Derek Carr's putting up like 30 points and just catching L's every week before this year. I kind of thought it was going to be like that when you have like a 32nd ranked defense. But with the defense they have and their way they're playing, credit to Zach Taylor. I don't even know the name of the defensive coordinator, but he's done a great job. And Tyler, I mean, what do you think about this Bengals team? Go ahead and let's praise the Bengals a little more because, they deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is loaded, like Title said. Jamar Chase is probably the best wide receiver in the AFC North right now, and he's only played, 6 games? He's better than anyone the Steelers got. He's better than anyone the Ravens got. And the Browns really don't have receivers outside of a washed Odell, so he's definitely
Jarvis Landry's good.
Yeah, but
I think Jamar Chase better, but I'd say Jarvis Landry's really good.
It's Jamar and Deontay, I think, and I lean Jamar.
I'd put Deontay.
Oh yeah,
over
I think we're not even talking about AFC North. I mean, it's like he's up there with like Justin Jefferson for best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, he's up there with those guys already, which is actually impressive. I thought it would take a little bit more time, but
yeah,
I mean, he's going to open up targets for Higgins and Tyler Boyd soon because they're just going to start double teaming him.
I felt he did yesterday. Higgins had some key drops.
Yeah,
he had 14 targets. Higgins. I want my boy Tyler Boyd to get involved more, but Higgins and Chase are getting all the targets.
Just wait for them to play like a team with slower linebackers when he could just tear them up out of the slot, and that's going to be his spot right there.
You'll get him 2% own in DFS too. But you made a good call, Spread. This is because I am a DFS guy mainly, and I'm just the eye test a lot. I see talent. I know Jamar Chase. This guy's just a stud. You can watch him. Tyler Boyd. Certain guys, I go more eye test and talent to just they have athletes. They're gonna do stuff, and that sometimes bites me in the ass too, though. So this time it worked out. But you're very right about me. Sometimes I make these claims about teams. They just got all the talent in the world and they'll figure it out. Sometimes it doesn't go that way at all, and then they're bad when I think they're good. So this time it worked out. It doesn't always work out, though. And who knows if it's going to work out in the future.
I knew they were studs. I just thought they were going to lose a bunch of games 34-31 and stuff. But the defense is doing their job. And Viral, we'll throw that in at the very end when we're doing our Monday Night Football. And you're right. Maybe that is a way that we should look. But we'll get that right at the end of the show. Let's continue and talk about that game still. The Baltimore Ravens, like I said at the beginning, not surprised that they necessarily lost. Well, I am. I put them in teaser. But the fashion that they lost was just shocking. So, Title, what did you think of that loss? Was that a fluke? Or should the Ravens be concerned?
Well, they just have no running game, which is really concerning in the National Football League. I mean, when you talk about Charles Staley and stuff, when you need to run the ball to just get physical and establish how the game's going to go. Devontae Freeman had 4 carries for 14 yards. Tyson Williams, 2 carries, 10 yards. Le'Veon Bell, 5 carries, 5 yards. Duvernay, 1 carry, -2 yards. They ran the ball about 20 times. Lamar had 12 of those carries for 88 yards. So much was on the back of Lamar, and you can't win football games, or you can't go. I mean, you can win football games in the regular season against pretty bad teams, but you're not going to beat good teams in the playoffs with just on Lamar's back. So I'm a little concerned. I mean, they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be fine, but I don't think if you're hoping they'll get to the AFC Championship game, the Super Bowl, they need more than just Lamar to keep balling out. So I think they got to figure something out in the run game to open up the passing game more.
Yeah, I mean, Le'Veon Bell should get 0 touches in my mind. Tyler, what do you think? The Ravens a fluke, or yesterday, did they just bounce back and just go right ahead, or do you think there's a cause for concern in that loss?
I mean, I think Title hit it right on the head. I think they'll beat the bad teams, and when they play these good elite teams, they're going to lose these games, regardless.
Oh, Tyler's freezing up on us. Let's see if he's coming back. If not, we'll just move on to the next one, and I will get him real quick. All right. The next game we're going to talk about. Hey, this might be one of the most shocking ones there. Title. It's the fact that the Chiefs lost to the Titans. Now, I took the Titans, right?
Nice.
But I thought this was going to be, like we talked about, 34-31, right? That was an easy cash, especially since I'm sitting on the +6, right? Let's talk about the Chiefs first. I mean, I can't believe we'd be asking this, and I pretty much stole this question from every show I heard while I was driving around, getting groceries this morning. But will the Chiefs make the playoffs? Titletown, what do you think?
I'm going to say yes to that question, the playoffs. But, I mean, I've been on the show almost every week with you on Mondays, and we keep asking, the Chiefs fine, all this stuff. And I kept saying, yeah, they're fine, blah, blah, blah. It's the Chiefs, they'll figure it out. But, man, it's impossible not to be concerned in where they want to go, which is the Super Bowl. Anything short than a Super Bowl is a bust for this team. And there's a lot of concerns. This defense hasn't figured anything out. The time of possession was absolutely in favor of Tennessee because they can't get a stop. And Mahomes just made a mistake, and the offense doesn't look like the offense it used to be. So I think they make the playoffs. I think they'll figure some things out. They'll squeak there, but I'm concerned because I'm very high on Mahomes. You got Kelsey, Tyreek, Hart. They got all the talent in the world, but I'm concerned. But to the playoff question, yes, I do think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I do too. I just thought it was kind of a fun overreaction question, and it needed to be addressed. Here's concerns. So I remember reading a stat that because they essentially turned over their offensive line, right? 4 out of the 5 players were new.
Yep.
And I read a team that no one had ever, I think, that did that had a winning record, right? And in my mind, I'm like, well, they're going to be the exception to the rule, right? Because they're so good. And individually, like if you did it Madden style, right? Like each of these new guys coming in seemed to have like a higher rating, except for George's Niang was the right tackle. And I think George's, I don't know what's his first name. It might be Lucas. George's, I think, is on the Philadelphia 76ers. Lucas Niang came in to play right tackle, and he sat out last year for COVID and then came back. Looked really good in camp, but hasn't looked good so far. Basically, if that offensive line can't get it done, we saw what happened in the Super Bowl last year, and we're seeing it continually this season. Also, a little bit of turnover luck not going their way, right? Some of those interceptions are actually good passes. Bouncing off the hands and stuff like that. A little, I would say, turnover, not luck, though. Who are they saying? Podcast I listened to said he looked like Shady McCoy on that one, carrying the ball way out. Remember how Shady used to do that? Like that's what
he
Mahomes
brought it
did
all the way down
on that fumble. And that fumble to me was when I knew this game's over. Right? I mean, that to me was a momentum breaker there.
Good play on the Titans. I have a future right when they got Julio Jones. Seconds after before the books overreacted, I hammered their over wins for the season and win division and stuff. So it was a little scary in the beginning of the year, but now they're sitting 5-2. Looked really good the past 2 weeks. So Titans are looking good. I mean, Derrick Henry, when he gets stronger in the fourth quarter, AJ Brown finally is Chipotle things over. Like it's a good football team as we expected preseason.
And it's just so weird how sometimes like these injuries matter and sometimes they don't, because when I made the Titans play, we do content, we do shows. A lot of the people in the chats and other people's on the shows were saying, bro, you're not worried about all the injuries to the cornerbacks? And I was, right? I thought I could lose that bet. I'm like, boy, these guys are making a good point, right? Like we got a bunch of second stringers going against the Chiefs. And it's just so weird. I mean, it's just so weird that they didn't put up any points. Like Patrick Mahomes got me 9 fantasy points, right?
Crazy.
I mean, that's like
60% FanDuel cash too. I went Lamar, so that definitely helped.
Yeah,
and everybody was on Mahomes.
Yeah, and it turns out you were right. And I remember looking. I even saw. You had a core up, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing. Was he in your core?
No, I do the FanDuel. So I do a FanDuel cash chart, but then I put 2 cores in Discord. It was, it was Derek Carr on DraftKings, and I went Jalen Hurts on FanDuel.
Very, very smart. Then I can't remember who it was, but I remember AP had Mahomes and. Maybe it was draft sheet that had Lamar, and I was thinking
maybe
in my head,
JSU or something. I'm
not
sure.
Well, anyways, regardless, I was thinking, I'm like, I like the Mahomes play so much more than Lamar there, and Lamar put up great points. So let's talk about the Titans. Can they win the AFC? You think? I mean, after yesterday, I think the way that defense is playing, because they just have to be average with that offense. I think they're a serious contender. Do you think I'm overreacting a little bit to one big win though?
No, I'm with you. I mean, I bet them preseason. I was very high on them preseason, so nothing's definitely going to change now that they're absolutely rolling. So would I be shocked if they didn't win or anything? No, of course not. But would I be shocked if they won it? No, I think this is a very good football team that's going to cause people problems in the playoffs.
All right, let's talk about the New York Jets. They got absolutely spanked by the Patriots. I mean, I can't believe Bill Belichick's still pissed about that Spygate thing, right? He always runs up the score on them. It's just so crazy, right? I mean, how long ago was that? I think, Title, you were like in middle school then.
It was
when that happened.
Yeah.
Sure. Robert Saleh, rough start for him so far. So I got questions about, we know the NFL, right? Here, you don't have time, you cap the coach and the QB, and that's it, right? I mean, that's how you cap the NFL. Coach and QB, both on the hot seat, I would say already. Do you think that, obviously Wilson's going to stay, but do you think that Robert Saleh will return?
I think he will return.
Okay.
The Jets they've had longer leashes with their quarterbacks in the past. I don't think they were expecting. I mean, yeah, they're hoping to be better than what they are now, but I think they give him at least another year. So I think he does return.
All right, so Robert Salt, yeah, I think they would too, just because it's the cost too. You don't want to fire a guy after 1 year. Plus, I don't want to take a job with a rebuilding franchise if I know they get rid of their coaches in 1 year. Right?
Exactly. Like, what's the point of?
You're going to scare off.
That'd be dumb.
Yeah, I really didn't have anything to say about the Patriots. I mean, they're going to beat the bad teams. I think they end up around 8-9, and I think they'll even trouble some of the good teams. So they're someone to consider against the spread. But that game really changed nothing. I couldn't think of any clever questions on that one. Another one that I had problems coming up with the clever questions for was the football team and the Packers. I mean, wasn't that game just exactly what you expected? Right? I mean, the football team could have covered. They didn't. But in the end, it was a convincing win. Green Bay's good. Washington's not. I mean, did you have anything about that game, or I was just going to move on because really not a lot to hot take.
Mediocre to bad teams coming into Lambeau against Rodgers is very tough, tall task. So I think it was what I was expecting to.
Yeah, and we don't upgrade or downgrade any team. Both those teams performed exactly how we expected. The Lions kind of had some fun in the first quarter, being super aggressive. Did you see that title? And what did you think of that aggressive style? I personally love it. You're 0-6, you're 0-7. You're not going anywhere. Like, I love it. What did you think?
Absolutely loved it. You're coming in as a big road dog. Everyone's writing you off, and you catch them off guard multiple times. I mean, I like what the Lions are doing this year. I really do. Like, I love watching them. DeAndre Swift's a stud. They're always fighting. Their coach is invested. They're all like, I like this team, but another close one they lost. But I liked what I saw. I love the aggressiveness multiple times. Like, even in the second quarter, they ran a fake. I think it was second quarter. The fake punt that they actually ran it instead of throwing it. Like, it was. I loved it. Brilliant. If it didn't work, I would be saying the same thing though. Like, everyone was writing them off. They didn't expect to win. Catch them off guard. They got 2 possessions in a row to start the game against a really good football team. Like, I loved it. So I think you do too.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and I want to see Dan Campbell coach with some real talent because he's definitely made an impression on me. The Rams, they're good. They didn't cover. Whoop-de-doo. Let's talk about my Las Vegas Raiders. Their title. They looked pretty good yesterday. Great call on Derek Carr in the leagues, and you know what? I should have known that. Going against the depleted secondary, and really what it came down to yesterday. And I almost texted my buddy at halftime, but I did not want to jinx it. The Raiders were winning the line of scrimmage on offense on the run game. I mean, they were pushing forward. All the guys got holes. You and I could have averaged 4 yards a carry yesterday, and we could have been a really great FanDuel play. But regardless, the Raiders, do you think they can finish ahead of the Chiefs now? They're 5-2. The Chiefs are 3-4. I mean, this is another question that seems silly, but there's no way we would have even considered asking this before the season. What do you think, Title?
That's a tough question. I mean, obviously, looking at their records right now and stuff, I think they can. I think the Chiefs are going to get theirs. I think they're going to go on a run and get some, but they're still going to I think the Chiefs are going to lose 7 games, maybe 6 games, maybe. And the Raiders, I like what I'm seeing. So I think they definitely can beat them. I don't have a strong take on that where like no way or for sure they will, but I think they definitely can beat them. I liked what I saw for the Raiders too. Definitely won the line of scrimmage. I wish Kenny and Drake and Jacobs didn't fall in the end zone rushing because I just needed a little more Derek Carr to get there. But the Raiders look good. I mean, they were mixing it up, passing game, the running game, play action was working. Defense got pressure. They looked good.
Yeah, driving around yesterday, and JSU hates this, but I don't listen to podcasts. I listen to the local radio broadcasts. And there were guys, and they were basically saying, it's just local Sacramento guys, but they're saying, hey, this Raiders team, I think that John Gruzin's concepts were right, but I think that Greg Olsen executes them better, right? Like, it's the same offense, but I feel that Olsen's play calling is a little more modern. He's a little more aggressive, especially with the lead. And, I'm actually all for the CEO style coach. I was telling my buddy yesterday, my ideal thing, if I was like a general manager, I'd want a CEO style coach, and I'd want a real specialized offensive and defensive coordinator guys calling the plays. Now, the hard part about keeping that together is if you do well, your guys are going to get poached, right? like Matt Rule's trying to do it with Joe Brady. Joe Brady's probably not going to stay to the right of him that much longer. But I really like just having the Tomlin style, the Harbaugh style, the CEO, head coach, and Bisaccia is doing that. I think that it's just a big boost, and I knew that Gruden was bad, but now we're seeing it. So we'll see if it continues. My guy Otter, who's on the over. We'll see if he's on the over tonight in the what they call us, bomb cyclone or whatever. It's really just a bunch of rain. Spread. The Chiefs are not making the playoffs. Don't even worry. The Raiders are getting in. Otter, I so hope that you are right. For the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about coaches and quarterbacks only getting 1 year. I think this is another one where we got to bring it up. Sirianni and Hurts. Do you think that either of them are back in the same role for the Philadelphia Eagles next season?
I think Hurts is. I would lean Sirianni being in, but I think if one isn't, I think it would be Sirianni.
Doesn't he look kind of overmatched though?
Hurts?
No, Sirianni. I can see how Hurts gets there, right? Yeah. You give some of these young quarterbacks, man. That's like they don't have any. Like I'm not going to write off Justin Fields, man. The guy gets 1.5 seconds to throw to make every read. Okay, I'm not going to downgrade Jalen Hurts. He's okay. Sometimes the line is good, but when they had the injuries, they were bad, right? So it just seems like he can get there. Sirianni, I don't know. Seems like they might, not that he won't be good, right? Like Belichick kind of sucked with the Browns. He'll not be Belichick, but I mean. Yeah. I think it might have been a year or two too soon for him to move on.
The Hurts, like I like Hurts. I love the talent. They have no running. Sanders got hurt too. Bad offensive line. Like he's in a really bad spot. But his athleticism, and he can throw the ball too. Like I'm higher on Hurts than a lot of people are. Maybe again, it's more me looking at the talent, the eye test. He's a DFS printer. He'll always get there for you. He got 24 yesterday. When he didn't even play well.
Don't you think quarterbacks are kind of broken with that rushing yard deal?
Well, that's broken, but like people still don't understand. Like I just keep I play Jalen Hurts in cash on DraftKings, Lamar in cash, FanDuel. Hurts was like 18%. Lamar was 12%. Like people still aren't figuring out, but like you need rushing. You don't need them because like Derek Carr, you can get the 300 bonus and cheaper and stuff, but. Russian quarterbacks are very, very valuable.
They're like OP, as the kids would say. Yep. Tyler was saying, as the kids would say, OP would be how Russian quarterbacks are.
Like Aaron Rodgers. I don't play Aaron Rodgers in DFS hardly ever. Right. I mean, he's a great quarterback, but I'll play Jalen Hurts over him.
Right.
Stuff like
and that's the difference between DFS and betting, right? Because I want to bet on Rodgers all the time.
Exactly.
Hurts and Lamar, I'm not as keen to bet on, although Lamar has been great so far this season. So this is a lot of fun. Title, let's continue. Bears and Buccaneers, I'm just skipping over this one, right? I mean, it is what we expected. I have nothing to say about these teams. We can rip on Matt Nagy again. You guys have already heard it. Cardinals and Texans, kind of the same deal. My only question, I guess, from that game, Title, and we're probably going to ask this every week, and this is pretty standard. Do you think Kyler Murray can stay healthy playing this style of quarterback? Because without him, this team's in trouble.
Yeah, I never predict injuries or try and hope that. Like, obviously, no one hoping it. Like, I'm gonna trust that he stays healthy until he does. Like, would I be shocked if he gets hurt? Of course not. But especially in their 7-0s, the longer the season goes, I mean, Kingsbury's got to be telling them like, "Hey, slide, don't be taking these hits. Like, we need you in the long run." So I think he can. I think he will.
You know what's crazy is those ex-baseball players like Wilson and Murray, though. Their slides are so clean compared to some of these other guys, like a Trevor Lawrence slide, or like, some of the guys that you can see are like football. You watch Wilson and Murray. Yeah, I mean, it's like they're down and they're back up. It's just, it's beautiful to watch. So, hey, even if your kids are good at football, get them to play some baseball to their parents.
I'm all over. Are you the same way? Like, I'm all over. I mean, I grew up playing multiple sports. Like, my kids.
I think that's the reason for NBA injuries. I think they just play too much basketball. They should be playing some football. They should be playing some baseball.
I think I'm all over the multi-sport athletes.
Yeah.
I grew up there, but and also like you don't get burnt out. Obviously, if you have something, but like I loved as a kid. You go from summer playing baseball and you go into the football and you're playing basketball. And you got to work on stuff a little bit, but like I think multi-position or multi-sport athletes.
And it just makes your muscles more well-rounded too, right?
Yeah,
because
you
you're
do
not
different
just doing
things.
the same thing. You're not just dribbling. You're not just doing this shot motion over and over again.
And
So,
you're hitting an 80-mile-an-hour fastball in baseball, and you come and
Yeah.
try and catch like just hand. I think everything it all goes hand in hand.
and the way it was set up was nice because you got beat up in football. You got to
Yeah.
run off some of that fat in football, and then baseball was like a little rest, right?
Yep.
Hey, Title, go play some right field, right?
Yeah, not right field, but
Oh, where were you? Were you that good? Were you in the infield,
No.
Title?
Shortstop and catcher.
Oh, you were good then. Shortstop's usually the best player on the team.
Well, I
All right.
wasn't the best, but it was.
I should have known after watching that
Wasn't the
Big
best.
T basketball match. So I like to have a young athlete here on the show with me. Now I'm really disappointed that Tyler's not here for this one because this was my official Max Kellerman hot take approved one. But we'll start with the Colts. So Tyler and I came up with this one. Is it? Do they suck? Are they good? I don't know. Help me answer it, Title.
Jonathan Taylor's a stud. I'll tell you that for free. They got a running game, which helps Carson Wentz.
JJ just thumbs down the video, but we're fine.
They got Pittman. Jonathan Taylor. I know from Wisconsin, but I just think he's very explosive. He runs. I've always been a Jonathan Taylor guy. If he can hold on to the football, which is a little concern. I mean, he fumbled a little bit. They recovered it yesterday, but they got a good running game. A solid defense, so a team like that can win close football games. So I'm not a believer in Carson Wentz. I don't think they're going to be going. I mean, preseason people are really high on this team. Obviously, I don't think they're as good as preseason hype was, but I think they can win some close games and play good teams close because of the running game and the defense.
Yeah, I actually think So I've been down on Carson Wentz, and that was a lot of fun when we were all on the live shows last year. With Big T, right? Just having so much fun with Carson Wentz. I'm wondering if he's going to get a last laugh. And my idea here is this, Title, right? We know that he missed most of the preseason. Okay. He was injured the first couple of weeks, so he wasn't getting all those reps, right? Now we're, 7 weeks into the season? He's probably been fully healthy for 2 to 3. The offense is starting to come together. He does have that nice mobility. Of course, he's got the big arm. The decision-making is the issue, right? That little flip. What was that, right? Probably got that from playing some shortstop, right? That would have been a nice flip to the second baseman to turn the double play. Yeah. Unfortunately, it wasn't a good football play. But regardless, I think they could be pretty good. And another thing they got going for them, right, is probably the easiest division because it's just them and the Titans, and they get the 2 easy wins. Jaguars are starting to get better, but still, could be something for them. So wouldn't necessarily be surprised if they snuck in, and if they do, they'd be a team that I just want to fade in the playoffs, right? I think they're going to beat a bunch of bad teams and do pretty good against some of the good teams. Really depends on what you think about this 49ers. Let's talk about this. Otter, how are the 49ers always injured? Feel like 5 years of injuries. Maybe they're just like 5 years of excuses. Doesn't every team have injuries? I heard the Baltimore Ravens were the worst injured team. They're 5-2, right? I mean, I've seen big players go down on every single team. It just almost seems like, the San Francisco community really just embraces that injury narrative here. So here's my super hot take question, right? So if the season continues how it is, right, Shanahan will be the head coach for 4 years or 5 years.
I'm not exactly sure.
It's either 4 or 5, and there's only going to be one winning season in there. He has a winning percentage below 500. My hot take question is Shanahan head coach material, or maybe should he just go back to the offensive coordinator seat? Because if I tell you, Title, you're going to hire me to be your coach, and I give you 1 Super Bowl appearances, but we're under 500 the next 4 years, are you going to hire me?
That's a really tough. I mean, yeah, if you just told me that, probably not, because I'm expecting that your Super Bowl run was with really good talent more so. Yeah. Like if on paper, if you're just saying that, but yeah, I still think I don't know. Actually, he's definitely offensive coordinator for sure. They have been dealing with some injury. I think they're better with Trey Lance than Jimmy Garoppolo personally. The weapons outside of Debo, I don't know what's going on with Brandon Ayuk. The kid was a complete stud last year. He has the talent. I honestly have no clue what's going on there. The running game's still fine though. The defense is good. So I think it's I'm a big Lance guy, so I think they have a way better chance of winning football games with Trey Lance personally. They still need another weapon. Kittle's hurt. To the question of that, I don't really know, to be honest. I think he's a fine head coach, but I don't have a strong lean I want to hear your
I
thoughts on
I just
that.
remember when people were saying he's better than McVay. I'm just like,
I'm also not as high on McVay either. There's
okay.
some questionable decision making, personally.
Okay, yeah, I'll be. So this is fun. We get to be opposite here. So Max Kellerman's really going to be happy with this segment. Yeah, I'm really high on McVay. I mean, he just seems to get the wins, and so for Shanahan, he was on the hot seat before that Super Bowl year, like believe it or not. And I'm just wondering how many more. What is it making it to the Super Bowl and losing? Grant you. And then the hard part I think about going to Trey Lance is, does that just kind of signal a rebuild though? Do you think that he's ready to step in? He, to me, out of all the quarterbacks drafted, had the most project, and I just, I thought that that's why it was good that he went to San Francisco because he got to play behind Jimmy G for the full year. Looks like the fans are calling for that, and I can understand. What did you think of Jimmy G yesterday? Actually,
I'm not a Jimmy G guy. I don't think he's very good, to be honest. He missed some throws that I thought he should have made. I mean, it was very tough conditions, obviously. They had the fumbled snaps and stuff. It's too hard to say that, but they had a really good running game, so I thought they could play action more. He had open receivers. He didn't play bad by any means, but I'm a Trey Lance guy, though. I definitely am higher on him than you are, probably higher than him on most.
No, I'm really high on him total. I think in 2 years he'll be great. I just don't know, like, if you put him in now.
I know what you mean.
So let's say this. If they're not over 500, Shanahan's getting fired. And you put him in now, I don't know if you can get to over 500 trying to teach him this much this early in his career. Do you think they could?
Over 5, I think they could, actually. I think they could get over 500 with Trey Lance if he plays the rest of the year and they're trying to win every football game.
Okay. Yeah, and then also on Ayuk, I'm trying to do better on not interrupting, so I didn't.
No, you're good.
Interrupt.
We're just literally talking. So always feel free to interrupt.
On Ayuk, I would blame Shanahan for that. Have you seen? So because I'm local, I get all the drama, right? But it's like, it was just weird the way he was treating him, And then he wasn't saying it publicly, and everyone's like, "Well, something's going on,"
I agree with that.
I'm all for not throwing your teammates under the bus, right? We see how well that's worked out for Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, but I don't know. The whole thing's weird, and I do think that Shanahan mismanaged it. So, hey, that was a lot of fun, and even boy, we do enjoy talking football. Title. We're 40 minutes in, and we had a limited slate, but I'm enjoying these limited slates so we can get a little more in depth on each team. But let's slide over to tonight. I think this is a really tough game to handicap from a betting perspective. I think that, if you are going to bet tonight's game, might be better to just chill right now, enjoy the show, and then tune into Keg Live tonight and find some live spots for this game, because I think it's a tough game to handicap. I think the weather's got something to do with it, and I also just hate taking road favorites in primetime, as good as the Saints are. Jameis Winston is really inconsistent. Seattle Seahawks will be starting Geno Smith. They've taken a little money since I've woken up, Title, though. Now it's down to +4. Total down to 41.5. That's a completely weather-related move. And if you watched last night, as wide open receivers were just dropping easy passes as the ball just slipped, hard to blame them. And Tyler is back, hopefully. Tyler, how you feeling?
I'm good. The room isn't dark anymore.
All right.
Completely black on me. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah. I thought you were going to be coming back with the candles everywhere and, having a seance. So now that you're back, why don't you jump in and help us handicap tonight? I was saying this is a tough game to bet pregame. Why don't you just tune in and watch you and Jay tonight and find the winners there? Or do you think there's a pregame spot that I'm missing?
I think there's a couple pregame spots we can hit. I think our guy Otter has a good point in the chat. Saints off a bye week. Hammer spot. They had 2 weeks to prepare for this team. Me personally, the way the Saints defense is set up right now, I think they're better than that Pittsburgh defense that Geno Smith and them look pretty good against. I'm not sure how Seattle scores tonight, especially if the weather's bad. Lattimore's going to take one of the receivers out. The other one's going to be double teamed or just focused on. I don't see Alex Collins really dominating them on the ground, but on the other side, I see Kamara just dominating this team. Mm-hmm. You can get them anytime touchdown and the Saints win the game at +125. I think that's worth a shot.
I do like that.
Definitely getting in the end zone. I think they win the game, so give me the plus money on that. I don't hate them. 2+ touchdowns at +370, and even sprinkle 3+ touchdowns at 17-1. I think it's a big Alvin Kamara day.
I think that's a great look, Tyler, because my concern for this is the total's down to 41. So I do like the Saints here. but I don't want to lay points in a really low scoring game, right? You know what I'm saying? Lane 4 is a lot easier when I think it's going to be, 47 to 42. If I think it's going to be 21 to 17, right? It's a little different there. Title, what are your thoughts on the side and total? And then we'll jump into some of these. Did you have any props, Tyler, actually? Or are we
I
going to go
mean,
straight to
the only one I
DFS?
would look at with the weather is going to be, and Deontay Harris is out, which is one of Winston's deep threats. They started to get Kamara involved in the pass game more last week.
Okay.
His yards are still set pretty low at 31.5. I'd go over that.
All right, so
I
that
think he's going
is
to catch
the
a lot
prop.
of screens.
Yeah, and then Title, why don't you give your take on the side and total, and then we'll jump into building a winning lineup.
I couldn't agree with more with Tyler. I think this is a smash spot for the Saints. I think -4 is very strong. Over under, I don't have as much conviction on. Probably under because I'm with Tyler. Why I like the Saints so much too is I don't see Geno Smith moving the ball in this defense. I think Kamara has a big day. We'll get into DFS, but plus 125, Kamara gets a touchdown and a Saints win. I think that's very tasty. Not too much more to add. I think Tyler hit it right on the head.
Yeah, I love that play. I think that's the best way to approach the game pregame. And then, of course, make sure you subscribe to the Run Pure Bets channel. You will get notified when Tyler and Jay go live tonight to find the winners in game. All right, Title. I had a great week last week, so I'm pretty excited. But I didn't do it. I haven't done it in the NFL streets yet, right? I still need to get an NFL screenshot. So help me out. Help me find an NFL screenshot. I assume. Let's see how much I've learned. So we're gonna take the team that we think is gonna win 4-2, or do we always take the dog 4-2?
No, so yeah, you are learning because that is a very good question. Today, it's not like I always do this, always do that. Today, because it's 4 and some people are going to do Seahawks too, I'm going to be on the Saints because I really have conviction that they are going to roll. And today is really hard to get different Showdown because Kamara is the obvious captain, but man,
19-2.
I just don't see him not getting there. I think he is the highest score on the slate, and I think you need him at captain. So I'm going to say play him at captain, and then we got to get different. So Kenny Stills is going to be very popular today. He's 1,600. He's on the field a lot. He's one of the highest owned value plays. I'm just going to go all the way up and play Callaway, which is the #1 receiver. Scary. I think he's going to be very, very low owned. I mean, it's raining. People are going to go Jameis or Geno and then Stills. Everyone's going to be on the same build. Give me Callaway and hoping he gets the one receiving touchdown if there is. He has upside to break stuff. You're overpaying for him for sure, but that's where the ownership discount comes in. And then my third core, I'm just going to go and play Saints defense, which I never do at all, but they're cheap enough. And I think they absolutely
5,800's cheap.
I mean, no, to this extent where people aren't going to play the Saints defense really.
No, I agree with you there. You're getting different. I'm just saying, and I don't have that much experience, but I think they were 3,600 and 2,600 last night.
So a cheap might have not been the right word necessarily, but I'm expecting if you get 10 points at 5,800 on a slate that's supposed to be low scoring like tonight's, I think they're going to be low. Yeah. I think they're so I will if you tell me they get 10 points. I'm taking the Saints all day at 5,800 on this Showdown slate. So yeah, cheap was the wrong word. I'm glad you corrected that. But I think there is value with the ownership discount. Callaway in the Saints D is not going to be very popular. I'm going to eat the Kamara chalk at captain. I just really don't see it going another way, which I rarely eat chalk at captain. But I like getting a little different in those two. So that's my 3-man core right now. I'll name a couple other names though that you have to look at. So I don't mind. I don't hate if you play Kenny Stills. Still eat the chalk at 1,600, but he's going to be popular. I think if you go a Traquan Smith at 4,800, that'd be a little interesting. Even if you go, I think it's viable for once to play Seahawks D2 with the Saints, go double defense, hope it's really low scoring, fade both quarterbacks, and just go that route, and then you're 100% unique. So I'm not going to core them. I wouldn't have over 50, 60% of them, but I think the Seahawks at 2,800 is interesting. Freddie Swain is down there at 2,002. He's on the field a good amount. He can get garbage time. You don't need much at 2,000. So there's a little salary relief there if you want. I'm going to full fade the kickers today. I just don't think there's a reason or need to play them. I think if it's 4th and short on both sides, and it's if you're a 45-yard field goal and it's 4th and 3, I think the teams are going to go for it, or at least they should. in this weather. So full fading kickers. I think both defenses are viable. I really do like the Saints, though. They are priced up more than normal. People aren't going to play them at 5,800 enough. And then I don't mind if you want to go like a Metcalf or Lockett. Geno Smith and Jameis are going to be higher than the Metcalfs and Locketts. And GPPs, I think you pick one. I'd rather go one of Lockett or Metcalf instead of one of the quarterbacks because you'll get a big ownership discount. And PPR adds up so much in these low-scoring games, as we saw yesterday, like Pittman, Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, like they all outscored the quarterbacks. And I think you could see something similar with lower ownership today. So my stance on GPPs, I'm going to fade the quarterbacks mainly. I'm just going to eat the Kamara chalk captain. I like the defenses, and I'm not going to play the kickers. And I mentioned Swain, Stills, a couple other value plays as well.
I got one guy I wanted to bring up before you go.
Let's hear it.
Juwan Johnson. You got to think with Harris out. I know the dude doesn't get many targets, but when he does get his targets, it's in the red zone. Low scoring game. That dude catches you that touchdown at 2,200. I mean, that's got to be value, right?
Oh, for sure. So Trautman's right down there at 1,800 too. I think those two are very fine plays as well. Maybe even a Ty Montgomery. He can get mixed in a little bit. He's down there, what, $800. Ty Montgomery down there. So I think Trautman, Juwan Johnson, Montgomery, if you want to go a complete onslaught, instead of going 4-2, I think you go 5-1 Saints because people are always scared of going the 5-1 route. 4-2 is more popular. I think you can just onslaught 5-1 with the Saints. Then you either go a Metcalf, a Lockett, maybe Swain or something, and just hope that probably wouldn't go Swain in that. But I think that's viable too. If you go 4-2, you can go Seahawks defense or something. But I'm all over the Saints. So 5-1, 4-2, something like that. But I like the call. Trautman and Juwan Johnson, definitely like it.
So Title, I've been listening to what you said. I've built like a nice little team, I think, off that one, and I'm noticing I faded the quarterbacks, like you said. Seems kind of crazy to me, though. Am I being like a rookie? Am I being like a square here? How often does a 0 QB lineup cash in these showdown slates?
Yeah, yesterday, I don't quote me for sure, but I don't think Carson Wentz was on the optimal either.
He had 15 and Garoppolo had 9, or he might have been a little higher. I know that was how I lost my head-to-head because we were all the same, and he had Carson and I had Jimmy.
Oh, yeah. I was on Jimmy.
My bad.
MVP there. I was on Jimmy MVP there too in that spot. But, I mean, you don't see it as often, but you also don't see too many 41 totals nowadays in the rain and stuff. And it depends. Like, I wouldn't play both defenses, no quarterbacks and stuff in a 150-man single entry GPP. If you're throwing a $15, whatever the main one is today, for entertainment money, and you want a chance to solo ship first, which should always be your goal. If you're going to play chalk and go with 500 duplicates, you're going to win $2,000, and that's negative EV lineup right away. So if you want to get really big contest, get a solo shipper, stuff like that. I think it's an interesting game script, and it's going to feel uncomfortable.
It is. I'm looking at it right now, and I don't want to submit it. And I actually love it. Every player you guys mentioned, I'm like, oh, I want him. And now I'm like, I have no.
Did you talk about Rashad Penny Title?
Well, he's not playing, is he?
No, he's coming back off of IR, and they're saying he's not going to have any limitations, and Alex Collins is questionable.
Who would you rather have, DJ Dallas or Penny?
I'm not sure on that one.
Probably Penny for sure because of the price. Penny's 2,600. Dallas is 5,200. So
it could be one of them things where a lot of people overlook them too, and you could just get them by yourself in that contest.
There's a lot of value. So I mean, like if you want to play a quarterback spread,
don't you think this is crazy how much value there is for a showdown? Usually that's the hard part, right?
Leaving salary today. If you want to play a quarterback, just leave 1,500 in salary or something, and hope Penny is the guy. He falls in the box, and you'll need him. And then Juwan Johnson or Trautman can easily outscore still, like stuff like that. Like if you're gonna play quarterback, you leave salary, and it's not as hard today. If you fade it, you don't worry about the stuff as much. But I think there is a lot of value. And now more we're talking into it. I think Seahawks defense is fine, but I think I'd rather take a shot on some of these lower guys to get in the box more. So I still do like Saints D though as a contrarian play that people won't play.
All right. So Title, I like this lineup now, but let's just say I get scared and I say, okay, I'm going to make another one, and I'm going to put. I assume that we like Jameis better as a quarterback than Geno, right? How many points? How many points do you think I would need from Jameis to make it worth it?
You're hoping to get about 17, I think.
Oh, okay.
If he gets you,
And that's probable, right? I mean, so
yeah,
would
it
I
all
be more
depends
worried
on-
about him not scoring, or just that I'm going to duplicate with everybody there?
You're more worried about you're going to be duplicated with, like, it depends how else you approach your script. But if you're eating
I have Kamara on captain in both.
yeah, and that's the thing. But like, if you play Kamara, Jameis, you either get pretty different with the other 4 players. Like, you don't play Stills for sure. You go Callaway, or you don't eat the other chalk there, or you play a defense, you mix it in, or you just you leave salary, and which is totally fine. If you go Kamara, Jameis, the only thing why I'm saying I'm going to be fading Jameis mainly in tournaments is because I'm already captaining Kamara. I'm hoping he gets the rushing touchdown, so Jameis doesn't. And then he's already chalky, so I get an ownership discount that I'm taking with a script that Kamara they get to a lead. It's all Kamara. And then I'll take the pass catchers that are lower owned, a little cheaper, and they're getting a full point PPR reception every time they catch it, whereas a 20-yard pass to someone isn't as big of a deal for Jameis. It's less than a point. So that's kind of my thinking. But like I said, like, quarterbacks will be owned for a reason. In cash games, I'm going to be playing quarterbacks. It's just the difference in that stuff.
Yeah, no. For everyone knows, when we do these cores, and when we do it on the NBA show too, we're doing to cash the big GPP. Cash is a different strategy, and we're not going to be discussing it on this show. So if you do want to become a cash game player, you're going to have to head on over to runpuresports.com, become a member, use the promo code GETBETS so you can get access to Tyler and I's play as well. But then you'll get access to the cash chart, and Travis Mangone does so well at that. And I saw that you're doing pretty well too, Tyler, right? Because people see you and they don't even enter. Right? They're just afraid to even go against you.
That was quite the thing. It's not very often someone will scoop a 1060 from you and not set a lineup. So yeah, that was nice. Cash chart, man, go and hoop myself. We mix it every sport. You can find that stuff. It was
okay.
This
is gonna be my last question, and then we'll call it out. What if I end up landing where I have a lineup that has Rashad Penny and DJ Dallas? Am I just cannibalizing myself? Do I need to rebuild?
I think, especially with Dallas, because he's 5,200, I think I'd rather chase more upside, not playing both. It can get there, it can, but like, you're playing Kamara at captain too, so I would say don't do that personally.
Okay, thank you. And that's why we do this, right? You know, and maybe other people are listening too, and they can kind of use some of these principles, not on this game tonight, but, you know, kind of use them as going forward. As you've heard that I've picked up some tricks and tidbits as well. So, Tyler, you missed like all our fun questions. Did you have anything you wanted to throw in on any of the games yesterday that maybe you just had to get off your chest? Something you saw?
I mean, nothing really. Cardinals better fix that offensive line, or Kyler's going to get hurt. He was getting hit a lot behind that offensive line yesterday.
Yeah.
Baltimore needs to get some weapons in there. They lost Latavius Murray, and the running game just died. You can't rely on Freeman, Tyson Williams, and Le'Veon Bell. So other than that, I mean, nothing really surprised us. Tampa smacked Chicago. Detroit fought for their life against the Rams before they overpowered them. And then Oakland did the job against Philly.
Yeah, and I love to see that. That Raiders game was so much fun for me. So back to your Cardinals point, and I'll just wrap it up with this. Hey guys, if you watch The Mandalorian, even Baby Yoda needed to be protected. So get on your butts down there, Arizona. Thank you everybody for watching. Tyler and I will be back in an hour and a half to discuss the NBA. That'll give us some time to shift gears, get that prep done, and we'll be giving you out the winners and the props for that as well. Title, I'm glad to see that the move went well. Hopefully all the young single ladies are ready for your appearance down in Austin, Texas. I don't know if they've seen a Wisconsin guy like you there before, so hopefully they can handle that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Run Pure.